Sense of joy and belonging back to the Hill Country through quality time and sports. The local teams that showed up to play ball. And a pleasant Sunday of shopping interrupted by a terrifying car crash. Why police say this car smashed into a store in Lincoln Heights.
Plus, we're tracking a bit of a weather change in the week this week, especially with an approaching cool front. I'll break down what you need to know for the week ahead coming up.
Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
Welcome to the Nightbeat. I'm John Paul Barajas. We start tonight with the power of sports. Professional sports teams from across the state set up an unforgettable day for Hill Country families. The Spurs and Astros were just two of the big-name teams represented at the event. The night team Zaria Oates shares why a day of playing basketball and football was so important for these families.
You probably can't even catch.
Yeah, I can catch, and so can a lot of the kids who are at this Sport for Healing Fest hosted by the Spurs and a bunch of other professional athletes across Texas. This event is for the Hill Country. From dancing to basketball and even just being around each other.
So far, the boys have done basketball.
The Spurs, the Dallas Mavericks, Houston Rockets, and like 30 other professional sports teams hosted this Sport for Healing Fest.
There's very few things that are as powerful and unifying as the power of sport. And the more and more we heard from July 4th, now it's time to just sit and be, to find a space for joy, to use the power of sport to create that space for healing and joy.
The event was at Ingram High School in some of the same areas that were once reunification sites after the July 4th flood. The goal was to give families an opportunity to get back to even a small sense of normalcy after the flooding this summer.
It's really neat that we all can come together and be here for each other.
With all of the devastation and tragedy that happened, that there's people that are compassionate and still care about what happened.
Students from all over the Hill Country played games and got their faces painted, including Ingram High School senior Hallie Nichols.
It's so important to us. Like, we've been through so much.
Hallie was one of dozens who helped out at the Reunification Center on July 4th, and now she's just grateful to be having a good time.
There's so many people that have been through so much, and it's just, people are happy, smiling, and it's nice to see because it hasn't been like that.
It was just, it was special to see this small little school that I go to with so many people from all over Texas here, and it's really cool to see how much support we're getting.
Support from the community and a few good catches for Kendall made for a great weekend in the Hill Country. Zaria Oates, KSAT 12 News.
Zaria, thank you, and a great opportunity for you to show off the hands. Very nicely done. And the support doesn't stop there. The Astros and the Astros Foundation are teaming up to rebuild the Ingram Little League Park, and they have a lot of help. They are just one of several professional teams giving back to the Hill Country. The Spurs Impact Officer says efforts like these are just the start.
All of the teams across Texas are investing in the Hill Country, but also they're investing in their own communities for the people who were impacted that happen to have been here. So this is just the beginning.
When it's all said and done, the new ballpark will have 3 main fields, 2 practice fields, and brand new batting cages. This afternoon, a car crashed into a Lincoln Heights store, causing quite the scene. Luckily, everyone is said to be okay. San Antonio police say a 61-year-old woman lost control of her car, crashing into St. Bernard's clothing store, as well as multiple other cars in the parking lot. As mentioned, people were inside the store, but there aren't any reports of any major injuries. SAPD adds there are no signs of the woman being intoxicated while driving. At this time, there are no criminal charges. One man is in jail and another is being investigated after stealing roof shingles. The robbery was reported around 3 a.m. on Sliding Way near I-35 and Fisher Road in Von Army. San Antonio police say 2 men were stealing shingles from construction sites, adding a man confronted the 2 suspects and one of them threatened him before taking off. SAPD says the investigation is ongoing. A motorcyclist was killed earlier this morning in a 5-vehicle crash on I-35. The crash was reported around 2:30 a.m. near McCarty Lane on South I-35. The motorcyclist, 33-year-old Christian Vicknair from New Braunfels, was pronounced dead on the scene. The investigation is still ongoing, but investigators say Vicknair hit another southbound vehicle. Lanes of I-35 were closed for close to 6 hours due to the crash. This woman is facing multiple charges. We'll get her picture up here in a moment, but she is facing multiple charges of injury to a child. Yesterday, her 2 young children were found dead on the far west side, but questions still remain as to what exactly happened. According to the Bexar County Sheriff's Office, Tonya Islar called 911 stating her 2 children died after being left in a hot car. When officers arrived at the home off of Chancery Gate near Calabria, the children had already been taken inside. The sheriff's office says they're still working to determine exactly how the children died, and that there are some inconsistencies with the mother's story.
From my understanding right now, from what we're gathering, there's the mom and the 2 children, and the last time that the children were seen was inside the residence, but then when she reports finding them was after 3 p.m. in the car.
The medical examiner's ruling on the cause of the death for the children is still pending. Meanwhile, BCSO is asking for help from neighbors. So if you live in that area and have video from between 10 a.m. and 3:25 p.m. on Saturday, contact BCSO at 210-335-6000. And taking a look at live cam, it's been a nice Sunday evening with some light showers popping up in surrounding counties.
Yeah, but otherwise, JP, yes, a few areas saw the showers, and it did allow our temperatures to cool down just a little bit. I mean, we're still sitting in those 80s here at 10 p.m. And tomorrow is going to be more of the same, just without the chance of a few showers. Take a look at what you can expect to start off your week. 95 expected for your peak temperature in San Antonio. Starting off with those mostly cloudy skies. Really starting to see that sun in the afternoon being mostly clear. And that's because that area of high pressure is still camping out in areas of Mexico, allowing for some quieter weather on Monday and Tuesday. But we're watching a few things after that high pressure leaves. Today was our 11th day in a row in the low 90s, but we're tracking a weak cool front moving through Texas that's going to bring some rain chances. I'll talk about what you need to know for the week ahead coming up in just a bit.
I'll be looking forward to it. And there's an easy way you can help kids who are fighting cancer during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And it all starts with giving blood. The South Texas Blood and Tissue Center says their blood supply is critically low right now. They like to carry a 6 to 7 day supply and are only sitting at a 2 to 3 day supply. During Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, the organization is asking people to donate blood and help the 15,000 kids in the U.S. diagnosed with cancer every year.
As they are receiving treatment, chemotherapy, radiation, they become anemic. Their counts start falling as far as their red counts, their platelets. And you can come in and help by donating blood on a regular basis. Whole blood every 8 weeks, platelets every 8 days.
Blood donors today also receive free tickets to the next San Antonio FC game happening next Saturday. To find out how you can donate, you can go to our website, KSAT.com. Plus, an update from Uvalde. The Uvalde Consolidated Independent School District says they've made a lot of progress in recovering from this week's technology incident. UCISD tells us that they have restored phones, internet, security, heating, and air conditioning at their campuses. They say they'll have everything up and running for class tomorrow morning. The outage was caused after ransomware was found on the district servers. Still ahead, we are 1 week out from Head for the Cure 5K. Stephanie Cerna shows us how this event is just one of several that raises awareness and money for brain cancer research. And national leaders coming together to remember conservative activist Charlie Kirk, what Kirk's widow and the president had to say about his legacy. Next. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk was killed nearly 2 weeks ago. Today, thousands of people gathered in Glendale, Arizona to pay their respects and remember the life of Charlie Kirk. Kirk was gunned down while speaking at a campus event in Utah. Here's ABC's Allison Kosick with the latest.
Charlie Kirk's widow addressing thousands who gathered to celebrate the life and legacy of her husband. She says she forgives the man who shot and killed her husband.
I forgive him.
She will now take over as the leader of Turning Point USA, the organization her late husband founded at the age of 18. Kirk was gunned down September 10th during an event on the campus of Utah Valley University.
After Charlie's assassination, we didn't see violence. We didn't see rioting. We didn't see revolution. Instead, we saw what my husband always prayed he would see in this country. We saw revival. Charlie died with incomplete work, but not with unfinished business. I will miss him so much because our marriage and our family were beautiful. They still are.
President Trump watching from a secure suite with other top administration officials before taking the stage.
Less than 2 weeks ago, our country was robbed of one of the brightest lights of our times, a giant of his generation, and above all, a devoted husband, father, son, Christian, and patriot.
President Trump saying Kirk was violently killed because he spoke for freedom and justice.
None of us will ever forget Charlie Kirk, and neither now will history.
Allison Cossack, ABC News, New York.
Shifting gears here to weather and locally, it's been a quiet day, a quiet weekend, but we have seen a few pop-up showers. But there's another benefit besides the rain and the drought, which is
the temperatures. I know fall starts tomorrow. I'll talk later on in the show about that. And everyone's been wanting to know, when are we going to see the fall-like temperatures? I know you asked me yesterday. Well, here's some good news. You can start to see it just on Wednesday. Now, I know 89 degrees technically isn't considered the fall-like temperatures, but for us in South Texas, that's going to be as fall temperatures as we can get here still in September. Now, it's all associated because of a weak cool front moving through. We're still going to be in those 90s on Monday and Tuesday, sitting in those mid 90s, even 96 for some folks on Tuesday. But as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even next weekend, we're going to be sitting in those mid to upper 80s. I wouldn't be surprised if some folks are even in those mid to low 80s as we go throughout the week. But like I mentioned, that's all because of a weak cool front moving through. And I say cool front and not necessarily cold front because we're not expecting our temperatures to get even cooler. If they were in those 70s, let's say, I would then consider that a cold front. But the main reason this frontal system is going to be so impactful for us in San Antonio is because it's starting to see those rain chances really increase. A 40% chance of showers and maybe even some thunderstorms on Wednesday, 30% on Thursday. And then as we go into the weekend and even next week, we're tracking more chances of rain, but that's another system entirely. So first, I just want to focus on what you can expect this week. And here's that next weather maker. So that high pressure system that's still sitting in areas of Mexico, that's going to try to make its way back into San Antonio, but that low pressure system just to the north, that cutoff low, that's what we've been telling everyone about for the last week or so. That's going to continue to separate itself from the main energy source. And as it does that, that's going to then have a weak frontal system associated with it. And that's what's going to move into areas of South Texas by Wednesday morning. But here's the thing. Wednesday night into Thursday morning, it's going to stall. Basically meaning it's just going to sit in areas of South Texas Wednesday night into Thursday morning, having that chance for some heavy rainfall on the leading edge of this cold front to continue to sit, which is why the Weather Prediction Center has issued a marginal risk, just a level 1 risk of some heavy rainfall to be able to produce some localized flooding. But here's the thing, it's not going to be a washout. It's only going to provide some heavy downpours that are possible because of that cool front. And as that cool front continues to move quicker, move slower, that's going to be really the track and timing of when we expect some heavy rainfall to move through. But it's still a few days away. We don't have any of our high resolution weather models in yet. So you're going to want to check back for updates because things can change ever so slightly, especially because this is a look at the rainfall forecast over the next 7 days. Yes, we do have some rain chances later on, but even then, for portions of South Central Texas, this weather model is expecting some areas where you see that yellow color to receive 2.5 inches of rain, while other areas receive maybe 1/2 inch or even less than 1/2 inch or even 1 inch of rain. So you're going to want to check back for updates. We'll continue to keep you posted as we get closer to, but right now 40% chance of rain on Wednesday, 30% as we get into Thursday. But the one thing, yes, we have more chances of rain next weekend, and I'll touch on that later on, but it's going to be in the 60s this week. And I know a lot of people are excited, so you guys can always say, when you remember the 21st night of September, you can remember getting talked to about the rain chances and the cooler temperatures.
Do you remember?
You've been singing it all night. I had to slip it up.
That was a good one. Good job.
If you don't listen to September on the 21st of September, some would say that is Earth, Wind, and fireable excuse.
Yes.
I drew a blank there. I did not remember. Someone else
I thought that was dramatic pause.
It should have been, but I drew a blank on my own joke. Someone else who does not want to remember the 21st is the Texans and also the Cowboys. Bad beats.
Bad beats today for both, yes, the Texans and the Cowboys. The Cowboys humbled by the Bears in Chicago today. And turnovers plagued the Texans in their divisional matchup with the Jaguars. We have highlights and more after the break. The Cowboys are in Chicago. Matt Eberflus's first time back since the Bears fired him. Now, the Dallas defense came out hot, forced the Bears 3 and out, but the offense makes a mistake almost immediately. Javonte Williams is stripped of the ball, and Chicago ends up scoring a touchdown thanks to that turnover by Tyreek Stevenson. Now, things got worse for Dallas. CeeDee Lamb suffered an ankle sprain on this play. Lamb said after the game he'd play through it, but he'll need further testing. Later in the frame, Caleb Williams finds Luther Burden III on the flea flicker for the 65-yard touchdown. Cowboys in a 14-3 hole. Dallas would score 11 unanswered points to start the second quarter to tie it, but it was quite literally all Bears from that point on, and a late red zone INT seals the Cowboys' fate as Dallas falls 31-14, now 1-2 on the season, and the Cowboys were 1 for 4 in the red zone today.
We didn't play well enough to win, and so that's why we're sitting here with a loss. And they converted third downs, we didn't. You know, they protected the ball, we didn't. They hit explosives, we didn't. This game is one of the games that you look at it and you're like, yeah, I mean, it's humbling and it sucks, but we didn't play very good.
A humbling loss. Texans taking on the Jaguars in an AFC South showdown. Under 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Jags lead 10-3, 3rd and 10. Trevor Lawrence throws into double coverage and is picked off by Jalen Petrie. The Texans showing some life. First play off the turnover. C.J. Stroud finds a wide open Nico Collins for the 50-yard touchdown. Blown coverage by the Jags, and the Texans tie it up 10-10. But another Houston turnover leads to a Travis Etienne go-ahead score. Now under 30 seconds remain. Texans need to score. 3rd and 1. Josh Hines-Allen gets a piece of Stroud's arm, and the pass flutters in the air, intercepted by A&M alum Antonio Johnson, and the Jags win it 17-10. Here's what head coach D'Amico Ryans had to say after Houston fell to 0-3.
He turned the ball over 3 times. That's tough to win in this league. It's tough enough to win, but when you put yourself in position where you're helping the opponent, like, that's just not a good recipe for winning football. We're close. That's what it is. We're close, but close isn't good enough. So we got to pick it up and find a way to get a win.
Close isn't good enough. All right, here's how players with San Antonio connections performed today. Cam Ward was 23 of 38 for 219 yards. He had a touchdown and 1 INT in a loss to the Colts. Panthers' Trayvon Merrick, incredible day. 6 tackles, 4 solo, 1 tackle for loss, and a QB hit in a win against the Falcons. And Rick Woolen had 6 solo tackles as the Seahawks beat the Saints. All right, it's time now to introduce you to our Scholar Athlete of the Week, presented by Christus Children's.
Hi, I'm Jane Olivares, and I'm from Holy Cross High School, and I'm this week's KSAT 12's Scholar Athlete of the Week.
Jaden is a member of the varsity football and baseball teams and runs track and field. He's a member of the TAPS 4A Boys State Champion track team and part of the State Champion Mile Relay team. Jaden is the president of the Student Council and a member of the robotics team and the National Honor Society. He maintains a 4.10 GPA and is ranked 4th in his class. Jaden plans to run track in college and major in pre-med. Thanks, Jaden, for being KSAT 12's Scholar Athlete of the Week, presented by Christus Children's.
All right, thank you, Jaden. Now, Arch Manning and his coach and his teammates react to Arch flexing on Sam Houston during the Longhorns blowout win yesterday. You were talking about that, JP. We'll hear what his teammates have to say. Spoiler alert, they loved it.
I'm a fan of letting your emotions show a little bit on a big play, but also it's Sam Houston, you're Texas, act like you've been there. Maybe just my thoughts, but you like to see him get fired up for sure.
Yes, especially going into conference play, you need it.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for that, Mary. Still ahead, the nation continues to wrap the Hill Country in a blanket of love, literally. We'll introduce you to the folks sewing together quilts to comfort those affected by the floods. And as we prepare for the Head for the Cure 5K, Stephanie Cerna will show us the nationwide effort to raise awareness for brain cancer research. Welcome back. Your time, 10:29 on the 21st of September, Shelby. We're going to give this another try because I did not remember correctly on the last time. Do you know why the skeleton didn't celebrate the 21st of September?
Why?
Didn't have enough soul. The first one would have been better, but you swing and you miss. You're talking to us about the fall temperatures, the fall kickoff, pumpkin spice season officially underway.
So tomorrow is technically the first day of fall if you follow the astronomical fall, but meteorological fall and the fall that meteorologists follow actually began on September 1st. It's based over a 3-month period and it's allowing us for easy record keeping and it goes through November. But tomorrow is the autumnal equinox or the fall equinox. It is when the Earth has a tilt, and when it's tilted at 23.5 degrees, it's tilted, and that's what gives us the seasons: spring, fall, summer, and winter. Now, like I mentioned, we have 4 different seasons, but each season has about a 2-day period that's allowed for the equinox or the solstices to get the seasons. Now, for the fall season tomorrow, it's when the Earth's axis is tilted neither towards or away from the sun. And that allows us to get the same amount of sunlight and nighttime for tomorrow. And it normally happens in the springtime as well. Now, like I mentioned, tomorrow is the first day of fall. And as fall starts tomorrow at 1:19 p.m. That is the time of astronomical fall and the fall equinox on the 22nd. So tonight on the 21st, you can remember what you did tomorrow on the 22nd. But JP, we're going to be feeling some fall-like conditions later on in the week. I'll break down what you need to know coming up in just a bit.
Looking forward to it. The Trump administration is canceling the release of an annual report on hunger. The Agriculture Department will issue its last report on 2024 food insecurity in the United States next month. A department spokesperson said the annual report on hunger became too costly and claims trends in food insecurity have remained virtually unchanged despite an increase in government benefits between 2019 and 2023. The move comes months after the Republican-controlled Congress passed a domestic spending bill or spending package that will make cuts to the food stamp program. And a busy time for the Trump administration. They say the deal to keep TikTok operating in the United States should be complete in just a few days. A group of U.S. investors will own 80% of the app. Some of the investors include Oracle and Silver Lake. Chinese investors will own the remaining 20%. The administration adds, under the proposed plan, the U.S. will have control over the social media app's algorithm. More than 3,000 pounds of Costco's Kirkland signature ahi tuna wasabi poke is being recalled. They were sold at Costco deli stations on September 18th in more than 30 states. The FDA says the recall was initiated after a supplier announced the green onions used in the product tested positive for listeria. Consumers should throw the product away and contact the store for a full refund. Here at KSAT, we are getting ready for the 12th annual Head for the Cure 5K, which started in San Antonio as a way to honor our late news director, Jim Boyle. However, the nationwide mission to raise awareness and funding to support brain cancer research got its start more than a decade before the race reached the Alamo City. Our Stephanie Cerna spoke with the founder and president of Head for the Cure.
He was active, he was a runner, and it came from nowhere.
Matt Anthony, the founder and president of the Head for the Cure Foundation, tells us his brother, Chris Anthony, was 34 years old when he was diagnosed with glioblastoma stage 4 brain cancer. Before his death, Chris, who had always enjoyed competitive running, talked about raising money and awareness for brain cancer by starting a race.
A few months before he passed, it was really his idea. He said, this is a disease that is under-researched, seemingly because it's underfunded. How about if we do a 5K? Maybe we bring a little bit of attention to this disease.
The idea eventually turned into the Head for the Cure 5K, which started in Kansas City. It expanded to Dallas, Austin, and then in 2014, here in San Antonio. The race here honoring KSAT's late news director, Jim Boyle.
Erin Dempsey, who is Jim's daughter, she lives in Austin. She attended our Austin event. She reached out to me, and we had a small staff at the time, and said, "That was such a great experience. I want to bring Head for the Cure to San Antonio and honor my dad."
The Head for the Cure 5K is now in 26 cities across the country, giving participants not only a chance to raise money for brain cancer research, but also a way to remember their loved ones.
You had made mention that your brother wouldn't want it to be all about him, but as Chris's brother, how does it make you feel to be able to help so many people in his honor?
Well, I miss my brother, of course, and I miss him every day, but I also feel his intense presence. Chris would not want it to be about him, but yet his spirit, his energy, his positivity, his ordinariness, that he just wanted to live, that animates everything that we do at Head for the Cure.
That was Stephanie Sterno reporting. And race day is this upcoming Saturday, September 27th, and it kicks off at 8 a.m. at Providence Catholic School. You can use the code CURE at checkout and get $7 off your registration. For more information on tickets, visit ksatcommunity.com. And we've reported on a lot of help that the Hill Country has been receiving since the devastating floods hit that area. But there is one-of-a-kind donation that really stood out to us. What it is, coming up. And stick around because our Mary Rominger has been keeping up with all the games you might have missed this weekend. And you're not going to want to miss her play of the week. In the Texas Hill Country, hundreds of people lost everything they own. Some homes swept away entirely after the 4th of July floods, and there's been no shortage of help from cleanup crews to donations of every kind. But Gage Golding from our sister station found one contribution unlike any other, crafted with care and filled with love.
In the small South Texas town of Victoria, there's a little old quilt shop. Sewing together a project so big.
We are collecting 35,000 of these poppy blocks, and with that, we will make 1,000 quilts.
It's taking help from people around the world.
Franklin, Massachusetts, Reading, Pennsylvania.
From Canada, Guam, Ecuador's on the way.
Connie Kortz's fabric store in Victoria is headquarters for what could be one of the largest quilt drives Texas has ever seen. More than 1,000 quilts are being shipped, sewn, and stitched right here. Each piece is coming in individually. These things are called poppy blocks.
So this is a poppy block, okay? It starts out as a component that looks like this.
And ends up looking like this. A beautiful quilt stitched by hand and woven with meaning far beyond the fabric.
I knew that morning as those floods pictures started showing that early Friday morning, I knew we were going to do something.
Each of these quilts are going to someone who had their lives forever changed by the Texas Hill Country flood. And these poppy quilts Connie and her team are sewing together, all 1,000 of them, are for the young girls who went through unimaginable terror the morning of July 4th.
We call our thing Hugs from Texas. What a hug means to me is I know that my mama is up in heaven. Her arms are reaching through that person and hugging me. Well, that's what this is. This is going to give them some comfort. And it's everybody that made the blocks, arms around them. It's God's arms around them. It's everybody's arms from the whole country, the whole world, basically.
And those hugs are already being shared, like from her first delivery of quilts.
And he said, this is the first thing that is mine, because everything else I'm wearing, Salvation Army clothing, donated shoes, but this is mine.
And on Friday, it was time to load up and hit the road again, with another 200 hugs just barely squeezing in the car. Each one handcrafted to heal, one stitch at a time. In Victoria, Texas. Gage Golding, KSAT 12 News.
South Texas and the giving spirit never disappoints. So that's an amazing story. Taking a look at live cam, we have another quiet night. We do have rain chances throughout the week.
And later in the week, because of the rain chances, that's when you might want to bring out the quilts with the mornings in the 60s. I'll break down what you need to know coming up after the break.
We are entering fall, which means we finally get some cooler temperatures, but that is accompanied with the rain chances.
So when you see the cooler temperatures, although it's not too cool, it'll at least feel a little cooler because of the rain chances.
60s? Light jacket?
60s are a light jacket. Maybe,
we'll take that here.
Maybe a flannel, but anytime you do see the rain, that is going to allow the temperatures to be at least a few degrees cooler. And like I mentioned earlier, 40% chance of rain on Wednesday, 30% on Thursday. But not only do we have rain this weekend, we're also tracking a chance for rain next weekend. Now, I know it's still a week away, but I still want to give you that heads up. So this weekend and this week, in fact, the reason we're seeing the rain is because of this weak frontal system moving through. Granted, it is associated with a low pressure system, but here's the thing. The rain is going to arrive on Wednesday and it's going to stall in areas of Texas. So we can start to see the rain Wednesday morning through Wednesday afternoon, through Thursday morning, and Thursday afternoon is when we're finally expecting that last push of the showers to move through. But even then, you can still start to see some of the lingering after effects with the rain, and there's just going to be excess moisture sitting in areas of South Texas. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we also are tracking some rain. Now, most of the rain associated with this low pressure system is going to go through areas of Missouri, through the East Coast. But for San Antonio, like I mentioned, we're still tracking some rain. Just because you might not be receiving rain doesn't mean other areas might not be receiving rain. As of now, we are still tracking upwards of an inch or two for some folks, but this is the rain over the next 7 days. So it can include the rain you can see tomorrow, but also the rain you can see next weekend. But up through Wednesday, that's where we're tracking about the chance for the rain to be 1 inch of widespread rain, but some areas might be receiving more. And then we start to see additional rain chances next weekend. Here's that look for the next 6 to 10 days. Now, portions of the Red River are expected to still be a little drier, but in San Antonio and even getting into West Texas, that's where we're tracking that chance for above average for that precipitation outlook. And here's why. So I started this on Thursday. That cool front had just gone through areas of South Texas, and we still have that low pressure system to the north and still have that high to the east, or to the west of us, excuse me. And as we go throughout the next few days, that heat high is going to try to come back over areas of South Texas, being the next weather maker as we go into Thursday and Friday. But then Saturday, here's what we're watching. A low pressure system is going to form off the coast of the Pacific, and that's then going to try to make its way to San Antonio. This is what we're watching for the chance of some rain for next weekend and even next week. This is 6 to 10 days, but still could be impactful. And with that low pressure system, that's what we're watching for more additional rainfall. Now, all of this rain that we're going to get this week and next week is much needed rain. This is the most recent drought monitor that was issued on Thursday. We are still seeing that exceptional drought in Medina County, but portions just to the east of San Antonio saw that severe and moderate drought expand. So we still do need the rain. However, we just need the rain to come in moderation, not just all at one time, which is good. We're tracking that 40% on Wednesday, 30 on Thursday, 10 throughout the week and even into the weekend with temperatures in the 80s. I wouldn't be surprised if some folks do get to those mid to low 80s, especially on Thursday and Friday, but waking up in the 60s to kickstart the first weekend of double fall, I'll say.
Looking forward to it, and hopefully we do get to that point where we can pull out that light jacket, or as you mentioned, a flannel, something to at least enjoy the cooler temperatures while we got them.
Very much so.
Awesome stuff. And also, always crazy to see the drought map and how drastic of a change we've seen over the last several months. Thanks for that, Shelby. All right, now looking at sports, we've been wanting to hear what they're going to have to say about this infamous Arch Manning stare down against the Sam Houston State defender.
Yeah, Coach Sark and Arch's teammates reacting to that moment where people are saying Arch got his swagger back, and how a mistake turned into a 74-yard receiving touchdown for the nation's leading rusher, Robert Henry Jr. That's coming up after the break.
also green grass, being able to catch the ball out the backfield. I feel like that's a big up, and being a running back. So a lot of NFL teams like this, so that's what I work on.
Well, the first time UTSA called that play, Robert Henry Jr. blocked a guy because he missed the signal. But the second time, perfect execution as UTSA leaves Colorado victorious in big board sports. Well, that was one wild ending in Fort Collins last night. The Roadrunners were called for an offside penalty on Colorado's game-tying PAT. And when the Rams attempted the two-point conversion for the win, UTSA's defense stood tall, and the Roadrunners ended up winning 17-16. Now back to that Robert Henry Jr. receiving touchdown. Jeff Traylor telling his side of the story.
We called it earlier, and Robert missed the signal, and he blocked the guy that we were going to throw it over. So we at least knew if they did it again, we were going to have it. And when we saw they were doing it, and Owen checked it, this time Robert remembered to not block him. I said, Robert, look, Bubba, would you rather block him and hurt your shoulder or slip right over him, under him, and catch a touchdown pass?
Love an animated Jeff Traylor. All right, some are saying the Longhorns got their swagger back after beating up on an inferior Sam Houston team for a 55-0 win. One guy that certainly got a confidence boost, sophomore QB Arch Manning. Manning guided the offense to a season-high 604 yards, and he accounted for 5 total touchdowns, one of which he celebrated by going face-to-face with a defender, and Arch teammates loved it.
Felt good to get back in the end zone. Probably a little much there. My mom was pretty mad about that. A little immature, but I think it was some built-up frustration for the past few weeks.
I always feel like he's a little bit at his best when that emotion kind of comes out some. I think there was a lot built up in there, obviously from last week that he needed to get out.
He was in his groove. I think I can see that too. He was scoring. He was excited. Talking trash. He was in his groove for sure.
My guy got his swagger back. Yeah, he got his swagger back, and you can tell, I mean, he knew it was in there, but he just had to take that step, and I'm so proud of him. It's really cool to see somebody that's going through something that really hasn't been through something in life, that's going through something, get his swagger back.
I'm not really worried about what anyone thinks of the narratives. I'm just ready to play ball, get wins. That's what's most important, especially going into SEC play.
Hey, don't upset mom. All right, it's time now to hit the road with our Ensir Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Play of the Week.
Second and 10. Mayfield looking for Ibuka.
Oh, what a
catch! He hauls it in. He was matched up with Sauce Gardner. What a catch made by the rookie Ibuka. Gains 30.
All right, Longhorns fans remember that guy, former Ohio State receiver, Tampa Bay rookie currently, Emeka Egbuka makes an incredible one-handed catch over Sauce Gardner. We'll just replay it over and over again. Egbuka, a star in the making, and for that grab right there, making it look easy, you get our Ensir Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Play of the Week. And Baker Mayfield, after the game, said, why does he have to make me look bad by making a one-handed catch? But hey, to the viewers, it's pretty nice to see.
The hand-eye coordination there, pretty amazing stuff. I don't know what was prettier, the catch or the creamsicle Tampa Bay Buccaneers retro
Nothing
uniforms.
Beats those unis. Love it.
I loved it. Awesome stuff. Thanks for that, Mary. We'll be right back. You scream, I scream, we all scream for ice cream. Tomorrow is National Ice Cream Cone Day. Look at that. A tasty treat to end the night. My go-to is cookies and cream. Pretty basic, but you can't go wrong with it.
I'm a mint chip girly. Also kind of basic, Mary.
I like Rocky Road. Ooh. I don't know if you guys know what that is. Rocky Road? Is that? Oh, I didn't know if that was like a well-known one.
I'm not an ice cream connoisseur of sorts, but I do know Rocky Road. I'm familiar with that one.
Well, we do have a little bit of a rocky road for the weather in the next week or so. Temperatures in the morning, waking up in the 60s, seeing some peak temperatures in the 90s and even in the 80s with some rain chances. So, Mary, I know you're Rocky Road, and there's a little bit of that Rocky Road in the weather for you.
I might have to try Rocky Road for the first time in my life after the show tonight.
Oh, my bad.
Guys. Have a good rest of the week or start of the week.